Title: Rejecting the Devil's Proposal. Thousands of times. Author: Zero. Completed into mud. Copywriting: Anna, who traveled through another world, was stared at by the devil, and the other party always possessed a different person to propose to her. Anna, who had already seen everything with her own golden finger, was very moved and rejected him again and again. So when will he let her go? In order to make a bet with a friend, the great Duke of the Abyss demon Hrothgar wants 100 human women to agree to his marriage proposal within half a year. Unexpectedly, he came to the first human woman to meet in the human world, but decisively rejected him. Don't like the handsome son of Santo? What about the young talented mage, the noble and pure temple son? However, the human woman rejected him every time. Hrothgar became irritated and jumped with her. Half a year later, Hrothgar crawled humbly on the ground, kissed Anna's instep, looked at Anna with red eyes and vaguely, and gasped, "Please punish my disrespect, Anna." When he wakes up, she is dead. Brief introduction: I would rather die than surrender. Conception: traveling through other worlds can't stop the heroine from living actively content. Tag: love war through time and space, Western fantasy magic illusion. Search keywords: protagonist, Anna, Hrothgar. Supporting actor, others. A brief review of the work. VIP pushes the medal. As soon as Anna crossed the alien world, she was spotted by a demon. He possessed various types of outstanding men to propose to her because of a bet, but she didn't know that she had already seen him through, so she fought him with wits and was merciless. The fancy rejection of him made him think that he was getting closer and closer to success. At the same time, she seized every opportunity to climb out of the slums with her mind and hard work, and embarked on the path of a promising wizard. This article describes the love war between humans and demons by chance and coincidence in a humorous way. Under the premise of misunderstanding by both sides, the hero and the host enhance understanding and love in the struggle of different dimensions, and finally achieve cross-racial love. Devildom. The sky here is always dim, and the phoenix roars flying by in the distance, leaving ripples with death breath. In the center of the endless plain, a tall and ghastly castle stood abruptly, and within 10 miles of a radius, no creatures of the demon world with wits could be seen. This is the castle of Hrothgar, Grand Duke Habilis, one of the 5 great Duke of the demon realm. No one dares to approach it. Suddenly, the calm was broken, the teleportation array glowing with light purple light spread out over the castle, and 2 embracing figures appeared from the teleportation array. It's just that the man and the woman just showed up, and dozens of black flames rushed out like arrows, with the momentum to pierce the incoming person fiercely. The shoulders of the man with the double horns above his head moved slightly, and the thin wings behind him suddenly wrapped the 2 of them. He Yan puffed on the thin layer of flesh, but they were all bounced away and dissipated. "Hey, Lot, did you welcome me like that?" The man spread his thin wings and exclaimed dissatisfiedly at the bottom. There is a tall figure in the castle flying out with huge fleshy wings. He has long black hair fluttering in the wind, with black curved horns on top of his head, and a handsome and evil face under the horns, pale and cold, and his slender eyes narrowed displeasedly. When he started, his ruby eyes were full of sarcasm, the corners of his mouth grinned, and his white teeth were revealed. "Balin, when did I welcome you? Oh, I've been an old friend for thousands of years, why should I be so wrong?" Balin didn't mind Hrothgar's attitude, and said with a smile, "I'm getting married, and I will send you an invitation in person." With a flick of his hand, an exquisitely crafted invitation card fell into Hrothgar's hands. Hrothgar clamped the invitation card within his right hand, and his eyes fell on the woman Balin was hugging. At a glance, he knew that it was a human woman. The human woman has rich long blonde hair, delicate features and beautiful features, but her expression is like a timid elk in the woods. She was hugging Balin's waist shyly at the moment, as if she was afraid of falling. Hrothgar is a demon. In fact, the 5 abyss princes of the demon realm are all demons who climbed up from the abyss. The demons, who are born racists, look down upon other races, especially weak humans, and in their eyes are the representatives of filthy, incompetent, and hypocritical. Hrothgar always ridiculed Balin every time he met him, but for thousands of years, he did regard Balin as a friend. At this moment, he heard that he was going to get married and that he was still a human woman. He thought his friend was joking. "Are you crazy? Human women are too dirty to touch, you still want to marry her? Hey, in front of my future wife, don't say such things. Catherine is different. She is a pure and beautiful unicorn. I am in love with her." Balin stopped Hrothgar first, and then looked down. Holding her chin up, she kissed her future wife tenderly. A blush appeared on Catherine's face, and she put her arms around Balin's neck, looking drunk. Hrothgar frowned fiercely, trying to make the two people who were an eyesore roll. After taking into account the mood of his friend, Balin quickly ended the kiss, looked at Hrothgar in a very good mood, and smiled. "Hroth, I was only addicted to the stimulation of the senses before, and I thought it was the best in the world. It's only now that I found out that the taste of love is the sweetest. Don't you always stay in your castle to taste the beauty of love, isn't it?" Hrothgar snorted. "Love? Your love is such a hypocritical and lowly creature like humans? Balin, you are the shame of the devil. I think you will be destroyed in the hands of a human woman sooner or later." "Don't say it so badly, Lot," Balin said dissatisfiedly. "There is a bit of hypocrisy and annoying in humans, but there are also lambs like Catherine." As he said, he lowered his head and smiled softly at Catherine. The blush on petite Catherine's face has not disappeared, and Balin's straight face is reflected in the turquoise eyes. Hrothgar couldn't stand it any longer, he turned away his gaze in disgust, and said indifferently, "Let's do it with you, I won't go to your wedding." A black flame ignited in his hand, and the invitation was instantly burned clean. Before Hrothgar flew back to the castle, Balin said, "Hroth, let's make a bet." Hrothgar took a halt and looked at Balin, his blood-red eyes were a little bit more interesting. "What gambling?" Balin said, "Don't you look down on human women and think they are all vain? Before the wedding, you still have half a year, as long as you can get 100 human women to agree to your proposal within half a year, then you will win. But if you can't do it, you have to come to my wedding. If I win, you will kill your love." Hrothgar sneered. Although he thought this bet was ridiculous, he was indeed provoked a little bit more competitive. Catherine shuddered when he heard Hrothgar's words. Balin hurriedly hugged her to soothe her, and stared at Hrothgar before saying, "If you win, I will give you the abyss tree seed I just got some time ago." Hrothgar's eyes changed. If he said that he was only aroused by Balin's words before, he was already inevitable at this moment. He has searched for the abyss tree species for thousands of years, and he has only found 2 so far. Balin's one, he is about to order it. "Deal," Hrothgar raised his eyes and the corner of his mouth, "you will keep it safe for me this 6 months." Seeing Hrothgar's promise, Balin didn't care about his attitude that the abyssal tree seed was his possession. He added maliciously, "But you can't force them to agree to your marriage proposal, let alone take them captive. Coming from the devil world, you must be in the human world and use your personal charm to conquer their hearts. A mere human woman, there is no need for me to force it." Hrothgar agreed indifferently. "Then I'll wait for your good message and breath." Balin smiled and expanded the teleportation formation, and finally gave Hrothgar a meaningful look, and happily teleported away with Catherine. Catherine waited until the light of the teleportation array disappeared before asking Balin in a low voice, "What if he wins?" Her voice was soft and gentle like silk across her skin, and Balin's heartstrings trembled slightly. This is the reason why he forbids her to speak in front of others. Only he can hear such a voice. Balin hugged her anxiously and flew back to the two of them's bedroom, and said indifferently, "He's lost. With his broken mouth, he can't even say a good word. Which woman will marry him? But shhh, stop talking about him, I'll be jealous. Call my name, baby." Ba. Balin. On the other side, Hrothgar returned to the castle, put away his thin wings, and walked through the deserted long corridor to the underground of the castle. Hrothgar knew very well that Balin had taken the abyss tree species as a bet. One was because Balin did not care about the abyss tree species as much as he did, and the other was because Balin thought he was losing. As an old friend for thousands of years, Balin said more than once that even if he really fell in love with a certain lady, he couldn't pursue her, because he couldn't say good things at all, and he could make a woman who loves him with just one mouth. From love to hate. But even Balin, as his friend, didn't know that his talent skill possession would have an effect that would obtain part of the other party's memory when used. Every great Duke of the Abyss has a talent skill, which is a gift from the Abyss to them when they climb out of the Abyss. Hrothgar's natural ability to possess is that he can virtualize his body, inhabit the body of intelligent creatures in a soul-like form, and perfectly manipulate the opponent's body. This is the part that Balin knows. What Balin doesn't know is that he can also get part of the opponent's memory at random. Therefore, the bet with Balin seemed to Hrothgar to be simpler. Find and use his memory to gain the favor of a human woman. Human women are vain and greedy, and he won the bet. There is no direct passage between the demon world and the human world. The environments on both sides are highly toxic to the creatures on both sides. Only a few individuals in a few races can survive in the other world on their own or using foreign objects, secret arts, etc. But even so, the strength will be weakened. In order to remove the curse of the Abyss on himself, this is the price of the Abyss gift. Hrothgar often went to the human world to look for clues. There is a cross-border teleportation formation set up under the castle. He stood in the center of the teleportation array, and flicked his fingers down. A black flame hit the center of the teleportation array and instantly filled the entire teleportation array. After a purple light passed, he appeared in the forest 10 miles away from a certain city in the human world. The magical light quickly dissipated. Hrothgar frowned, and every time he came to the human world, he was very uncomfortable. Even if he is the great Duke of the Abyss, he can resist the poison of the human environment, but it is not without influence. At this moment, his strength was suppressed to less than half of the original. There was a voice in front of him, mixed with screams and wild laughs. Because Hrothgar didn't make any concealment, when he approached, they found him. "Who are you?" Hrothgar didn't even glance at it, and walked his own way. A female voice screamed, "Help me, please help me." "Shut up!" Followed by applause, and then the rugged male voice shouted, "Lao Tzu asks you." "You stop for Lao Tzu." "Grass." "Come on, brothers, leave him for Lao Tzu." Several men took up the weapons thrown aside and rushed towards Hrothgar, because the forest was a little dark. Just now another branch blocked Hrothgar's small figure. They didn't find him until they surrounded him. "It's not a human being, but a goat with horns on its head." "Devil! It's a devil!" The men screamed in horror and turned to run, but they were too late. Hrothgar raised his hand and flicked it lightly, and black flames emerged out of thin air. After contaminating the bodies of several men, it spread like oil, and the blazing black flames wrapped them in an instant. Burned to ashes. Hrothgar didn't even stop. Only the woman who witnessed this horrible scene was trembling with fear, holding herself in tears silently, did not dare to make a sound, and prayed desperately to the goddess of light in her heart. Having recovered a small life, she quickly decided to treat everything she saw today as a nightmare and not tell anyone. Hrothgar quickly found a suitable possession target, not far from the son of the Lord of the Blue Stone City, Parish Wilson, who was riding back to the city in a luxury four-wheeled carriage. Parish Wilson is not a mage, and his mental power is weak. Apart from him, there are only the coachman and his footman in the carriage. They are also weak ordinary humans. Hrothgar easily possessed and succeeded. With a young and handsome body, he could get at least 10 human women to agree to his marriage proposal in one day. Hrothgar's possession will not let the original owner of the body die. The original owner's soul will be forced to curl up into a ball and fall into a deep sleep, leaving his body under his control. The carriage drove slowly into Blue Rock City. Rotgar opened the window and looked outside indifferently. These humble, incompetent, and weak human beings are still just as boring. The carriage suddenly stopped, and the coachman exclaimed angrily, "Untouchable! How dare you stop Master Parrish's carriage? Do you want to be hanged?" Hrothgar retracted his gaze, only to hear a weak and frightened female voice, "Sorry, someone pushed me. I'll get out of it right away." Crappy excuses. Hrothgar remembered that he seemed to have seen such a scene many years ago, when the poor and beautiful girl fell in front of the rich young master's car, trying to make it to the sky in one step. Sneer, woman. Hrothgar pushed open the carriage door and got out of the carriage. He saw the girl lying in front of the carriage bracing her body and trying to stand up, but because of her knee injury, she lay back in pain as soon as she half supported her body. Those who have good things around stayed whispering. "The acting is pretty decent." Hrothgar thought so maliciously, walked to the girl who could not get up, bends over and picked her up in the shocked sight of the other party. Due to his actions, the onlookers let out a cry of exclamation. Most of them recognized the son of their lord, and a nobleman actually picked up a commoner, which surprised them. In Hrothgar's eyes, humans are inferior to the lowest slime in the demon world. If he were in real form, he would not let this human woman touch him. But for the abyss tree seed, he didn't mind forbearance. Hrothgar mobilized the memory of Parrish Wilson, smiled with this body, looked affectionately at the girl who was only 16 or 17 years old and said, "Beautiful lady, I fell in love with you at first sight because of your beauty. Your injury made my heart cut like a knife. How can I bear to see you like this? Please come home with me and I will take care of your injury." Parrish has become a very popular with women because of his unique family background and personal conditions. With his head full of sweet words, Hrothgar has enough memory for him to choose from in his random memories. The girl has long reddish-brown curly hair. She is 16 or 17 years old. She has fair skin and tender skin. Her azure eyes have a shallow layer of physiological tears due to pain. Her lips are full and healthy red, but her body is slightly red. The small smoky grey old skirt made her like a dusted pearl. Hrothgar didn't wait for the girl's response, so he hugged her into the carriage, which attracted a burst of whispers from the onlookers. "Wow, Master Parrish is so gentle, I wish it was me who fell in front of his car. That girl is so lucky, benevolent goddess, why isn't it my daughter who has encountered such a good thing?" Hrothgar heard those envy, a sneer of disgust in his heart. These inferior humans have never let him down. Contrary to what he thought, he gently placed the seat and sat opposite her, looking tenderly at the girl who was wiping away tears, and said in a magnetic voice, "Beautiful lady, you are like a rising sun to me, illuminating my way forward. Without you, I don't know where to go. Please marry me." Hrothgar took a quick decision. Since this human woman fell in front of Parrish's carriage with the purpose of reaching the sky, when he proposed to marry him, she would only agree ecstatically. He saw that the opposite side froze with her hands that had just dried her tears. She looked up at him, presumably too surprised. Her eyes widened slightly and her lips trembled slightly. Hrothgar felt a bit more disgusted, and this ugly attitude made him sick. Once she agreed, he killed her. However, when Hrothgar lowered his eyes slightly, and casually pressed his hand on the dagger around his waist, only waiting to hear the ecstatic answer before proceeding, what he heard was the girl's frailty with a certain degree of determination. Voice, "I refuse." Hrothgar raised his eyes suddenly, his reaction was rarely slow. She actually rejected him? This is impossible. Anna's eyes widened and lips trembled not because of surprise, but because of panic. The physical tears from the pain blurred her vision, so she could not see the man's appearance clearly, only knowing that the other party was a young man with a nice voice. She was also taken aback when she was carried into the carriage by the other princess, but her knee was injured and she was frightened for a while, and had no time to react. When she wiped away her tears, she also heard the man's marriage proposal. But she didn't have time to be surprised, because when her sight returned, she saw a scene that made her almost screaming. There is a demon with goat horns hidden in the body of this handsome man. Anna has been in this different world for several days, knowing that this world possesses magic spells, and demons no longer exist only in fables. But these supernatural elements are too far away from her these days. She still has no real feelings, until today, she saw a living demon possessed in a handsome man, and actually proposed to her. Although the body that Anna had after wearing it was considered a little beauty, there was absolutely no reason to let the devil fall in love at first sight. Then, the devil had only one reason to propose to her. He took a fancy to her soul, and wanted to trick her into signing a contract by letting her agree to the proposal. Anna grew up watching 1001 Nights, Aesop's fables and other stories, and grew up, knowing that most of the people who concluded contracts with the devil had no good end. I reject. Anna said her answer with fear and faint expectation. When she saw her face sinking because of her rejection, the fear in her heart almost came out of her throat. Will the demon kill her because of his anger? She almost desperately thought, after death, will she wear it back? After a brief surprise, Hrothgar thought that the other party hadn't heard him clearly. Beautiful lady, maybe I haven't said clearly enough. I don't want you to be my lover, but I hope you will marry me under the witness of the pastor, give me my surname, and become Mrs. Wilson. Hrothgar suppressing the impatience in his heart, he still recalled Parish's memory. Even if he thought he was restrained enough, because the purpose was not achieved immediately, his tone inevitably brought out a bit of murderous intent. This is too scary. Anna shivered. If she continues to refuse, he will really kill her, right? But if she agreed to him, her fate would be worse than death. Anna lowered her head, her hands clasped her skirt tightly in fear, her knuckles turned white, and after a short silence she had no choice but to despair and replied, I reject. The next moment, the raging malice in the carriage made Anna stiff all over her body suddenly. She did not dare to look up at the other party, and dare not say anything. She just prayed silently in her heart, hoping that she could go back to modern times after she died. Hrothgar almost did it. Very good, before he thought she would give her a good time once she agreed, but he didn't expect that she would waste his time playing tricks with him. If it hadn't been for agreeing to Balin not to use force, he would now hold her neck to let her agree, and let her feel how stupid it is to tease an abyssal Grand Duke before she died. Beautiful lady, I am a gentleman. Although I adore you very much, if you refuse to agree to my marriage proposal, then I have to reluctantly let you go free. When Hrothgar said this, there was no longer a smile on his face. This is the last chance he gave this human woman. If she dares to continue teasing him, as a thank you, he will let her live to the end of her life, and she will be tortured every day before her death. Anna was stunned when she heard the devil's words. Set you free. Is there such a good thing? Now, Anna became more determined. She raised her head to look at each other, but when she saw the evil demon hiding under that handsome face, she instantly bowed her head in horror. I don't deserve you, please allow me to refuse. She gritted her teeth and said softly from her heart. Hrothgar fell into a long silence. So, it's because he hasn't been to the human world for too long, has this human world become something he doesn't recognize? He looked at the human woman whose head was bowed and the hands holding the corners of the skirt had blue veins. He tried very hard to control the urge to choke her neck and force her to agree. Since he has promised Balaam, he will not break the promise. Where do you live? I'll take you home. Hrothgar said almost every word. Anna heard the devil's words and felt the maliciousness that could not be concealed in it, and she was about to cry. The devil said to send her home. Do you want her to run away and the monk can't run away from the temple? But then she thought about it, it is impossible for her not to go home, is it not easy for a demon to know her home? My home is in Lime Lane, you can just send me to the entrance of the alley. Anna whispered back in a very respectful tone. Since you can't resist, accept it. Rotgar didn't know where the pomegranate lane was, but he knocked on the wall of the car. Did you hear it? The soundproofing effect of this carriage is really bad. The two people outside can actually listen to the conversation inside the carriage. The coachman immediately said, Yes, Master Parish. The four-wheeled carriage that had been parked moved, and the carriage driver and the male servant sitting outside were quiet. Only the gurgling sound of the carriage and the sound of people in the street coming in through the wall of the carriage could be heard. Anna lowered her head and did not speak, nor dared to look up at the Master Parish, for fear that her eyes and expression would reveal something. Just wait till home, just wait till home. Until Anna got off the car not far from Pomegranate Lane, Master Parish didn't say anything. After the carriage door was closed, the car quickly disappeared from Anna's sight. She looked at her bleeding knee and limped. Walked inside. She said she wanted to take care of her wounds, but she didn't even deal with the wounds. She knew that the devil had a ghost. Fortunately, she was decisive and neither agreed to him nor let him find out that she could see him. She believes that it is impossible for an ordinary person to discover that the devil possesses this kind of thing, and she must not let the devil know about her ability to pass through. Lime Lane is located to the west of Blue Rock City. Although it is not a slum, it is not far away. Anna deliberately got off the bus early to avoid the appearance of luxury carriages causing commotion. As soon as she walked 2 steps in, she saw someone sobbing quietly. Following her reputation, she saw a boy who was only 8 or 9 years old trying to suppress his crying, and his body was full of scars, old and new, old and new. Hearing the movement, the boy suddenly looked up, his brown eyes filled with panic. Anna pursed her lips, and walked silently after turning her eyes away. The child was the son of Bobby the butcher, and she knew he must have been beaten by his father again. Before she wore it, Bobby beat his wife in bed immobile after drinking, and she also saw Bobby beat a child once after she wore it. She was naive to stop it, but not only failed to stop it. He beat Bobby and was pushed down by Bobby. This era is different after all. The people around her have long been numb to all this. His wife and children belonged to the head of the family, and no one would care if someone was beaten to death. They have tried their best for their own survival, and they have no intention of caring about the life and death of others. The little girl Anna wears is 17 years old this year. She is just a commoner. Apart from her and her parents, there are 2 younger brothers and 1 younger sister in the family. Although the family is not hungry, but it is just getting enough food and clothing. The level of productivity in this era is similar to that of the Middle Ages that she knew. Mage spells and other supernatural elements existed, but they were rare. At least she hadn't seen one in the past few days. She wore it until she saw one just now. A demon with goat horns, and don't know why she can't get along with her. Anna inherited all the memories of the original body, but this memory is like a foreign language she learned, and there is a certain gap with her. It took her nearly a day to speak fluently. She didn't know why she wore it, or how she could go back. She was depressed for 2 days before she regained her energy at least to live in this terrible time. It wasn't until this moment that Anna suddenly remembered that the demon possessed just now seemed to be the son of Lord Wilson, the Lord of Bluestone City and the surrounding area, and everyone called him Master Parish. Because of the shock and fear that the demon brought to her, she didn't even pay attention at the time. The son of the Lord was young and handsome. She couldn't help but rejoice. Thanks to her wit, she was not fooled into signing a contract with a demon, otherwise the Master Parish would be her future. Hrothgar was full of confidence in winning the bet at first, but the failure of the first shot made him wonder if this human world had changed. The carriage returned to the house of the Lord Wilson of the Bluestone City, and Hrothgar's memories of Parish were enough to not lead anyone to doubt. When passing by the Earl's mansion garden, a blonde maid who had some impression in Parish's memory was watering the flowers. Seeing him, the tall maid immediately put down the shower and carried her skirt to salute. "Good day, Master Parish. Hrothgar paused, recalled Parish's memory, smiled and said, Abigail, would you like to? Hearing the handsome and charming young master calling her name in a magnetic voice, Abigail was about to pass out with excitement. She cupped her face in her hands and screamed excitedly, I do. I do. Master Parish, you can do anything to me. The smile on Hrothgar's face quickly disappeared, and he took a short step back in disgust, as if he was afraid of getting it on. But at the same time, he has a sense of satisfaction that things are back on track. This was the human world he had been familiar with, and the disgusting appearance of a human woman in his mind. So, what happened to the human woman who deliberately fell in front of his car? When Anna returned home, she couldn't help sighing when she saw her dilapidated bungalow made of stone and wood. It's so poor. Hearing the movement at the door, there was a gentle female voice in the back room. Who is it? Mom, it's me, Anna. Anna answered quickly. She endured the pain and walked slowly over, pretending not to be hurt, but the woman who answered in the back room had already walked out. The hostess of this house is named Guy, who is only in her early 30s, but she is already the mother of 6 children. 2 of them died young. The hardships of life made her skin rough, her expression always tired, and lingering fatigue in the eyes of the same color as Anna. But seeing his eldest daughter, Guy's blue eyes were also soft. Anna, have you got a job? She asked with concern. Anna shook her head, I don't need people, or I don't want me because of my strength. Anna was outside today, just looking for a job. She has been looking for 2 days, but she hasn't found a job. Don't worry, Guy advised, Dad and I both have jobs, and we are not short of money for the time being. Anna nodded, did not show her anxiety, let alone tell Guy what terrible things she had just encountered. Guy went on to do manual work, which was part of the family's fixed income, and Anna went back to her room. That's not appropriate. In this bungalow, there are only 2 small bedrooms in total. Her parents live in one, and she takes her siblings to live in the other. In the room, the 7-year-old sister Adele was playing with her youngest brother Evan. Seeing Anna, Adele ran over and hugged her. Anna. Adele, is there anyone obedient today? Anna touched Adele's head and asked with a smile. Adele raised her head, the sky-blue eyes that he inherited from Guy blinked, and her voice was still childish. Adele is behaved every day. Little Evan is also behaved today. Great, can you help me get a can of water in, okay? Anna smiled. Good. Adele released Anna and ran out without asking why. Anna sat down on the bed, little Evan lay on the edge of the bed next to Anna, clutching her skirt with her little hand, and whispering to her, Anna. Oh. Anna smiled and nodded little Evan's nose, as if the pain in her knees had alleviated a lot. Little Evan giggled, and almost fell on the spot. Anna hurriedly caught him. Probably the children of the really poor were in charge early, and Anna's younger siblings were so well behaved that it was distressing. Adele is still too young, usually only looking at 3-year-old Evan, and another brother, Jim, who is only 10 years old this year, has gone to help in the tavern where his father Evan works. The income of 3 or 4 copper coins is pretty good. Before Anna came in, the original body was doing odd jobs with Guy, and the 2 earned more than a dozen copper coins every day. As a bartender, Father Evan sometimes received tips, and he could get 5 or 6 silver coins in a month. And this big family would spend nearly 20 copper coins on food every day, plus the head tax that must be given to the Lord, and other 7 or 88 expenditures. 1 or 2 silver coins can be saved in a month. In this case, no one dared to get sick, and the medicines prescribed by the doctors were all in silver coins. The basic monetary units of this world are gold coins, silver coins, and copper coins, each with a ratio of 100. Anna never touched a gold coin in her memory. Guy was saying that Anna should not worry, but how could Anna really not worry because she can eat every day? Their family has extremely poor anti-risk capabilities, and a little bit of trouble can make this seemingly subsistence family fall into the abyss. Therefore, for the past 2 days, Anna ran out every day in order to find a job, save money first, wait until she learns more about the world, and then think about ways to make a fortune. Although she inherited the memory of the original body, the range of activities of the original body is too narrow and limited to class. She has limited knowledge and knows too little. After knowing that this is a world with spells, why didn't Anna want to learn it? But just because the original body only has a legendary understanding of spells, she can only start with making money at the moment, and it is always right to save more money. Adele babbled and brought clear water. Anna took it, and as soon as she lifted the skirt, Adele covered her face and exclaimed, "Anna, what's the matter with you?" Anna fell very badly before, her knees were torn, and a lot of red blood even stained the lining of the skirt, but she was thankful that the skirt was not torn. "Shhh, don't shout so loudly, so that my mother will be worried when she hears it." Anna quickly whispered to Adele. She and Adele live in the same room, but she can't hide her from her, but she doesn't want more people to worry about it, but it's a minor injury, just 2 days off. Adele's eyes widened, she covered her mouth tightly, and nodded vigorously. Little Evan did a good job, pressing his little hand on his mouth, his sky-blue eyes widened. Anna couldn't help but laugh. When cleaning the wound, in order not to worry her younger siblings, and to maintain the face of a elder sister, she gritted her teeth without a painful grunt. Little Evan squeezed over, blew carefully on Anna's knee, and said vaguely, "It's no more pain, no more pain." His words seemed so magical, Anna felt the pain in her knees disappeared. In this world, there is too little entertainment for the civilians at the bottom. Anna can't find a job, and there is nothing to play. After the knee is not sore, she starts to clean the house. As soon as she swept the dirty things to the door, Anna saw a young man poking his head over there and meeting her gaze. The young man was taken aback and seemed a little embarrassed. He quickly turned away his gaze, turned back quickly, and whispered. Shouted, "Anna!" There is this person in Anna's memory. His name is Little Tim, the son of Old Tim, the owner of the bakery. Those who can afford to open a bakery are of course much better off than Anna's. In this area, Anna is the best-looking unmarried girl, and Little Tim will give Anna something to express his feelings from time to time. Anna walked over, smelled the sweet smell of bread as soon as she approached, and instantly secreted water in her mouth. You know that she didn't like to eat bread, but now she is greedy just by smelling the sweet smell of wheat bread. Who told her to eat rye bread that was so rough that it would scratch her throat every day and was terribly unpalatable? Little Tim handed over a palm-sized wheat bread, which was made into a regular oval shape, fluffy and soft, and exuding the alluring breath of "Come on and eat me, I am super delicious." "Anna, here you are." Little Tim didn't dare to look at Anna's eyes, his ears were red, and he whispered. Perhaps the original body is still ignorant about the relationship, but how can Anna fail to see the young and tender but sincere feelings of Little Tim? But now she just wants to make money, she doesn't even want to fall in love at all. She restrained her stomach-clamoring desire, did not reach out to pick it up, only said, "Did you secretly bring it with your father? Take it back quickly, or he will scold you." Unlike Bobby, who would beat and scold his wife and children whether he was drunk or not, although the old Tim was very vicious, he had always cursed his son and would not do anything. Little Tim didn't expect Anna would not accept it. His emerald eyes were a little gloomy. He shuddered slightly when she mentioned his father, and then suddenly forced the wheat bread into Anna's hands, turned and ran away. Little Tim! Anna couldn't help but sigh when she couldn't stop him. This little wheat bread costs 7 or 8 copper coins. If it is replaced with rye bread, 3 or 4 of the same volume can be exchanged, which is enough for her family to eat. And this one in his hand is nothing more than a slaying ceremony. Anna remembered Little Tim's goodness in her heart, and was ready to pay him back when she became more developed. When she turned around, she saw a girl not far away, looking at her with hostile eyes. Seeing Anna turned her head, the girl not only did not hide, but strode over, lifting her chin with a disdainful expression, "Cut, it's just white bread. When I become the maid of Lord's house, I can eat it every day." There is this girl named Lily in Anna's memory. Lily was the same age as her, with straw yellow hair and small freckles on her face. Because she was not as pretty as Anna, Lily had never dealt with Anna since she was a child, and always aimed to overwhelm Anna. Anna didn't want to care about with the little girl, just wanted to get past her, but Lily didn't want to miss the opportunity to show off her majesty. She stopped her and said, "I tell you, I didn't lie to you. My Aunt Anna works in the Earl's mansion, and she recommended me to go to the Earl's mansion. Work in the kitchen, such a bad white bread like this, I will never look down on it in the future. The name Anna is rather bad. Half of the 10 girls are called this name. Anna knows that in this pomegranate alley alone, there are 3 girls named Anna. Common people do not have a surname, so to distinguish which Anna is, one must add a qualifier, for example, she is the Anna of Evans. But there are not many opportunities to use the upper qualifier, because there are not many opportunities to interact with each other. Lily specifically pointed out that my Aunt Anna was just to respond to Anna, and everyone called Anna, but her aunt is now a nobleman who serves noble masters. Anna didn't want to talk to Lily, but when she heard Lily's words, she paused and asked, "The kitchen in the Earl's mansion is hiring?" Seeing Anna's answer, Lily said triumphantly, "Yes. This is a secret that only a few people know. My Aunt Anna told me and recommended me to Lord. Tomorrow I can become Lord's maid. Now, in the future, untouchables like you will never want to see me easily." Anna didn't correct Lily's remarks about recommend to Lord, just a little maid in the kitchen, where could I alarm Lord? What she cares about is the news revealed by Lily Earl's court is hiring, and she just wants to find a job. But immediately, Anna became a little frustrated. That terrible demon with horns is on Master Parrish's body, and the Earl's mansion is Master Parrish's home. If she goes, wouldn't she be in the mouth? Seeing Anna's dim expression, Lily thought that Anna was stunned by her beautiful future, and she couldn't help being even more proud. "Don't think that you can seduce Master Parrish with your face. He is not such a beautiful woman. Have you seen it? Untouchables will always be untouchables." Anna raised her gaze, looked at Lily's smug face, and said, "It's you who pushed me just now." Otherwise, Lily's words would be too endless. At this moment, Anna realized that she seemed to underestimate Lily's viciousness. In modern times, pushing people is at best bullying, but this different world is different. Nobles and commoners are 2 solid classes. No one will listen to her explanation. She will be treated as deliberately ramming the nobles, just like the coachman. That said, encountering a cruel nobleman, it is possible to be hanged. Anna heard questioning. Lily panicked the moment, but immediately raised his chin, nonchalantly said, "Is how they count you're lucky, very generous parish master, he does not care about your rude, you can good to be back." After she pushed Anna still there, even after seeing Anna parish master is to hold on carriage, a time she was scared, afraid Anna found himself pushed her, being afraid of the appearance of Anna's parish master to confuse, not stay any longer, panic ran back. Until just saw a man limping. Anna came back, apparently parish master did not seduce Anna, she was relieved. Earl's court tomorrow, she can go to work, of course, will no longer. Anna looked down, pushed her to admit it does not matter. Listen, Lily admitted no guilt, and Anna took to heart a surge of anger. But for Lily, how could she be eyeing the devil? Who saw the devil in the carriage body alone? Parish master, she almost started crying, afraid her previous life super good horror movies. Enron also refused to come back after a few demons. Anna still felt like a dream. Can only recall, she still felt heart palpitations, and all this is the culprit, is the front of the harm she did not know. Repentance. Lily. Anna feels that his own if it does not care about what Lily, too sorry for the socialist core values. She suddenly leaned in Lily, amazing sight, staring at Lily's eyes and said, "Do you think you will be able to get the job? Do not, I'll steal it." Anna in the past and will not heed in collision with Lily, see her so suddenly, Lily was shocked, stunned, almost jumped up and shouted, "You dream, you think that this will make you lord of adults to work daylights? Do not recommend, you will not even Earl house doors have no access." Anna does not quarrel with her, only said, "Not one a pariah, I was scolded you as far as I can go in, we'll see." Having pushed open Lily Anna back to his home, called Lily stomping on the outside for a moment to go back. Lily Anna said that we must rush to work, it would not spur of the moment. She would like to see, if the devil was still staring at her, she do not matter, if the devil did not concern her, she went to work in the kitchen Earl's court, with the demon-possessed young master Parish will not contacts, but it does not matter. So she had to say in front of Lily lying, it really is try to hold mentality. In case if the door cannot even really have no access to it. Get into it, to find a job admitted by something, she met many times and in the modern world, and how adults cannot bear even this setback. Anna Tiny Tim will give her wheat bread torn into small pieces, first went to his room, giving each person a little Evan and Adele, the two widened his eyes, took a surprise, Taekwondo, Zixi. Anna see two people to eat sweet, smiled, turned around and went out, they sounded next door to the bedroom door, I heard a response after Guy went. "Mom, this is Tiny Tim brought white bread, I divided into 6, Adele has been given to the small and Evan each a copy." Guy put down the glass beads, took Anna handing me the bread, looked at the small portions, seemed lost in thought. "Mother." Guy back to God, gentle smile, a small portion of white bread aside, patted the side and said, "Anna, sit, my mother want to tell you some things." Anna some doubts, walked over to sit down. But accidentally dragged to the wound, she did not hold back, frowned. Guy quickly asked, "How?" "Nothing." Anna shook her head. Guy frowned, Anna suddenly lifted the skirt and see the hideous wounds on his knees. She exclaimed, "Goddess, ah, how the injuries!" Accidentally fell. Anna just had to give an explanation, involving the devil thing, she do not want to say any more. Guy naturally think of his daughter encounter before being pushed to the nobility-framed car. Who knows, it met the demon-possessed son lord of the then refused to marry him several times the devil in order to ensure the safety of the soul. Strange things like this, distressed wound looked good for a while. Anna, just exclaimed. "Mom and Dad is useless, cannot take care of you." Anna quickly said. "No, Mom, we have not been hungry stomach, you've done good enough. This home is really just barely enough food and clothing, but this is a big environmental problem, what to do in such a small civilian environment it." Anna certainly cannot be reconciled to the bottom of this mixed with food to die. Even if it is mixed with food to die, she wanted to eat better and live better. Guy did not know there, listened to the words of Anna, was silent for a moment, he said. "Anna, you have 17-year." Anna heart thumped, and quickly sat. Gay iti to the age question, let Anna little nervous. This world of marriageable age span is relatively large, 13-year-old to 3 years old are married, 3 second marriage either. But in general the underlying civilians will get married earlier, while the aristocracy will a little later, in accordance with the impression of the original body. Aristocratic women have an average age of marriage in the 23 or 4. Original body may never have thought about the reasons behind this difference, but Anna did think it should be with the standard of living and therefore lead to differences in the average life expectancy of about. Poor conditions underlying civilian life, do not get married, maybe are leaving no heirs. The aristocratic life of ease, the average length of life more, marriage will naturally be postponed. Anna is now 17 years old, and the age for civilian women, is just a good age for marriage. Guy went on to say, "Your father and I recently thinking about the things you look for. Her husband Tim is a good little boy, he should be like you, always send something to our house, if you do not mind. Your father and I went to talk to your old Tim, said the marriage. Anna thought for the original Anna, perhaps Tiny Tim is a very good husband material. Tiny Tim home for civilians is very good, people are shy and thoughtful, currently see no signs of domestic violence. They married in the future, maybe a couple of children, which might be 1 or 2 died young, but most can be grown, and then dull life so later. Anna thought of this day cannot get the head of a single glance. In modern times, her work is just on the right track, she has not had time to flex its muscles to wear. She did not like the world, but she could not walk. She was not looking to change the world, the power of individuals too small, but she did not want to be changing the world. Mother, I do not want to get married. Anna looked at Guy, want the other to see their earnest. Guy sighed and hugged Anna said, Mom do not want to marry so early you can if married to Tiny Tim, you will live a better life, like white bread, you can eat every day. Anna reduction in Gay arms, nodded and said. I know. But I think I earned the money to buy white bread every day. Guy touched Anna's head and whispered. Tiny Tim is such a good child, a lot of people staring at it, missed, it is difficult to find such a good candidate for a husband like him. Anna said, I do not regret it. Guy drilled from her arms out, looking at Guy laughed. Mom, I just learned that Lord of Adults Earl's Court is hiring a maid, I want to try. Guy heard a little surprised. Lord of Adults hiring maid really? Really, tomorrow I'll go take a look at Earl's Court. Anna said, getting married, we'll talk late mother. Gay parents and Evan relative to the rest of the world is more respect for the views of their children, otherwise it will not find Anna to discuss her marriage thing, so in Anna's plea, Guy finally nodded, that you go try it. Goddess forbid, if you can become Lord's large family maid, in the future you can also find a better husband. Anna nodded joy, and he did not refute the words of Guy. If she can become the maid Earl's Court, there is no doubt she saved a lot of money will be able to come, the money will have greater autonomy, the husband is not her husband's, time to say it. Pubs open until the early hours, when Evan and Jim back, Anna has long been asleep. Jim action loud enough, asleep in bed most outside, and did not wake Anna. Anna touches up in the morning, sleep has always been somewhat shallow. Jim woke up. Anna quickly small channel, sorry Jim, I'm too loud, you continue to sleep. Oh yeah, I gave you yesterday and Dad left white bread, eat well, you remember to eat. Jim was 10 years old, but like Evan relatively reticent, hear the words of Anna, he did not up, blear-eyed muttering. Well, Anna. So saying, he eyes closed sleep. Anna today put their best skirt, grey-blue, compared with the last piece of smoke grey skirt, her whole person looks beautiful some. She also own a red-brown hair a centipede braid, it looks fresh and lively in the addition of a trace of the girl. Evan father was still asleep, with her mother Anna said goodbye to Guy. Guy said, may the goddess bless you, Anna sent out the door. This world is the master, but also as religion, everyone believes in the bright goddess. Evan and Guy are devout believer, she saved money every month there is at least Onet herd will take Shishan bright blue goddess presented the church. Specific pattern of this world, not the original body can understand, she would probably only know that he is a British song in which the Duchy of interest, there are other principality, surrounded by bright goddess independent of the Holy See. Holy See in various duchies send clergy, Blue Fortress Church presided over was a priest, Anna saw from memory it was a less buzz middle-aged man, but the original body of the priest that is filled with awe. Anna know the location of Earl's Court, because of knee injury on impact and some of her actions, half an hour to go to, and the first hurdle was stuck. When she shows that he is a candidate to Earl's Court, the guard told her that no one is recommended, cannot enter. Anna recalled the words of Lily, Lily did say that, I did not get recommended. But she did not want to just give up, and then had begged the guard. I beg you, please let me in my family background is very clean. By the way, inside a maid named Anna also know me. Anna borrowed at Aunt Lily's name first, but the guard was unmoved, his face gradually showed their disapproval. At that moment, a man came laughed, "I know her." Anna and guard both back, the guard immediately laughed. "Shane brother, how do you have time to come here?" Anna recognized each other, shocked that yesterday perish for driving coachman. "This is not relatives of the children to find work thing." Shane looked naturally laughed. "As I have been driving for parish, Shane, while just a coachman, but very face, that he said," that the guard immediately said. "Since it is a big brother Shane people know, it is certainly no problem." "Ha ha ha ha, I can watch you drink ah." Shane laughed, "Then she took me go." "No problem. This is my time to ask Shane big brother." The guard also laughing. "Two so I sentence you," easily decided to put into Anna. Anna followed the carriage fuchsia and go inside, and a little ignorant. That she came in? Wait a minute. Does this mean that the devil was still staring at her? When she realized that she might have been under the gaze of the devil, Anna was taken aback. But then she relaxed. Isn't this situation also under consideration by her? However, I wonder if the goddess of light in this world really exists? If she begs to go to the church, can the priest use the power of the goddess of light to destroy the demon? Anna thought, and walked in with Shane the coachman. The Earl's mansion is completely different from the Lime Lane where Anna currently lives. She felt it when she was at the door. After she really came in, she could not help sighing when seeing the Earl's mansion in Lime Lane, which seemed to be nearly 100 years behind. In any era, the top level that monopolizes most of the resources can always live comfortably. Because she was completely unfamiliar with Earl's court, when Anna saw the slightly familiar person ahead, she realized that Shane was not going to take her to the kitchen. He actually took her to the devil. Anna took only one look and then retracted her gaze. The demon is still possessed in Master Parrish's body. But thinking about what happened before, she felt that she didn't need to be too scared. Didn't she let the devil succeed before? He didn't do anything to her. This is the second day Hrothgar possessed. According to his original plan, after making dozens of human women agree to his marriage proposal easily, he can change places and find a good-looking to continue the process. In less than half a year, he can even spend a few months. Win the betting contract within days. However, yesterday's events forced him to reconsider this plan. What he imagined that as long as he proposed marriage, any woman would agree to it without hesitation, and it did not happen. Although the small experiment he did on the maid later proved that his idea was not completely wrong, he would always be upset when there were accidents beyond his control. From yesterday to today, he has carried out some observations and experiments. Facts have proved that this human world is still as he expected. The human woman he met yesterday was just an accident. Then Hrothgar saw the human woman who was led by his coachman to make him lose the first battle. He suddenly sneered in his heart, "Very good, it was not an accident." It can only be said that the human woman who looks like an inexperienced human woman is actually deeper than anyone else. She fell in front of his car yesterday, and several rejections were just the beginning. Hrothgar mobilized Parrish's memory, suppressed his own sneer, and put on a gentle smile. "The girl who made me fall in love at first sight yesterday, are you finally willing to respond to my affection?" Of course he would respond to her expectations, otherwise, how could he enjoy the joy of torturing her afterwards? Anna saw Parrish's impeccable smile, and compared it with the cold murderous intent on the face of the demon who was attached to it. She felt stiff and quickly bowed her head. It seemed to Hrothgar that Anna was shy. He was already thinking about what he should do to torture her after she agreed. Anna lowered her head and did not look at the face of the devil. Her courage returned, and she whispered, "No, Master Parrish, I just came to look for work. I want to go to the kitchen." Yesterday, she was frightened by the demon that suddenly saw her, and now she meets again. The fear in her heart is still there, but she is not as afraid as yesterday. Therefore, she can spare a bit of reason to think and judge the behavior of this demon. She feels his acting skills are so bad. Yesterday he said he felt sorry for her injury and wanted to take care of him, but he patronized his mouth to proposal and did not act at all. Today he said that he fell in love with her at first sight, but yesterday he didn't even ask her name. Look at him now, I can't call her name at all. Even if you can't see the demon hidden in Parish's body, it is impossible for a normal girl to be fooled by his clumsy acting skills. Hearing Anna's answer, Hrothgar was slightly surprised, but not as surprised as yesterday. Of course, a woman with a deep mind will not let it go so easily. He recalled Parish's memory with a disappointed look, looked at her sadly and said, "Beautiful girl, would you rather go to work in the kitchen than marry me and become my wife?" Anna didn't look at Parish, she just thought that his words were too artificial, presumably the look on his face was just as pompous at the moment. "I'm really sorry." Anna couldn't hear the hesitation when she refused. Just listened to Parish's side and said to the coachman Shane, "Tell the kitchen, keep my beautiful girl." Shane said quickly, "Okay, master." Although it felt incredible to him to hear that the girl rejected the young master again, he knew very well that he did not make a mistake in bringing her to the young master's decision. Shane left with Anna, who had thanked him. Hrothgar watched Anna's sudden brisk footsteps, pressing down Parish's memory and sinking his face. She seems to be sincerely happy to be able to work in the kitchen. Obviously, she is happy to stay and have a reason to approach him. He wanted to see what she was going to do next. It's just that the more tricks she plays and the longer she delays, the more he will feed back her in the future. She won't regret it in the future. On the way to the kitchen, Shane couldn't help reminding Anna, the patience of the noble master is limited. Only when Master Parish still likes you and pleases him, you may get unexpected benefits. In Shane's view, this matter is very simple. Yesterday the girl caught the attention of Master Parish. Master Parish was somehow fascinated by her and said that he wanted to marry her. But she must think it was easy to get, Master Parish would not cherish it, and deliberately refused. But I didn't expect that the young master did not insist, and did not intend to look for her the next day. She rushed over immediately when she panicked. Seeing that the young master was still affectionate for her, she was relieved, and then deliberately refused. Although the young master's proposal is definitely not true, but even if she can become the young master's lover, she can also get rid of her current poor life. She shouldn't be too greedy at all. Did she really think that if the young master truly fell in love with her, she could become the future mistress of the Earl's mansion? She is just a commoner, a noble like Master Parish, who will not marry her. That's not like it, it's greedy for my soul. Anna muttered in her heart, smiled and said, "Thank you, Shane, I know what to do." Anyway, she said that she had no idea about the current Master Parish and he would not believe it, so it's better to just let it go. Shane knew that Anna hadn't listened to her words, and probably won't have any good endings in the future, but he still said, "If you benefit from it in the future, don't forget me, I brought you in." "Don't worry, Shane, I won't forget." Anna replied, Shane did help her, and if she develops in the future, she will return him. Of course, the demon who helped her the most this time. Before Anna heard what the demon told Shane, her heart beat a little bit faster. Although she knew that the devil had left her behind, she must be uneasy and kind, but she couldn't escape anyway. Why not think about it in a good direction? For example, she finally has a job, and this job has a high salary and high status. For example, if she robbed Lily's job, Lily is probably mad, right? Happy thinking about it. Although she was still afraid of the demon, she saw that he had to comply with certain rules in doing things. She guessed that as long as he did not agree to the proposal that he must mention every time he met, she would be fine. When he arrived in the kitchen of the Earl's court, Shane didn't leave immediately. He still had the mission from Master Parish. The kitchen was a bit lively at this time. Because the kitchen was about to recruit new people, not only Lily's aunt got the news, but other relatives who had suitable relatives were recommended. At this time, there are 5 obviously new girls in the kitchen. They lined up and looked nervously and expectantly at a plump middle-aged woman who was obviously in charge. The size of this middle-aged woman is rarely seen outside. It is already difficult for ordinary civilians to starve to death, and it is impossible to eat such a plump. The 5 girls were facing Shane's direction. Lily thought she was dazzled when she first saw Anna, who was following Shane. When she saw that the person was indeed Anna, who hadn't dealt with her since childhood, she couldn't help screaming. "Get up, Anna! How can you come in here? This is not where you should be, get out!" Obviously it is a place that only girls who have received recommendations can come. Why can Anna come in? Why did she come in? At this time, Lily suddenly remembered what Anna said when she suddenly approached her yesterday. She seemed to have been splashed with cold water, her body trembled, and fear surged in her heart. Anna said she would take her job. She really came. The middle-aged woman glanced at Lily displeasedly, and said solemnly, "Don't speak loudly at any time. Lily, you are eliminated." Lily was taken aback, just thinking about it, thinking of the other party's words. She suppressed her emotions, and quickly pleaded, "Mrs. Mary, I was wrong, please forgive me, and give me another chance." Mrs. Mary looked at the tears that flickered in Lily's eyes, but said unkindly, "You have been eliminated, stand aside, don't let me repeat it again." Anna watched this scene and almost laughed out loud. She hasn't done anything yet, why did Lily lose? Lily opened her teeth and claws like a wild cat in front of Anna. In a place like the Earl's mansion, she did not dare to speak too much. She wiped her tears and walked aside, not forgetting to stare at Anna viciously. The other 4 girls looked a little gloating. Only then did Mrs. Mary look at Shane, glanced at Anna calmly, and said to Shane politely, "Shan, what's the matter?" Shane said, "I'm here to deliver Master Parrish's orders." Mrs. Mary's face suddenly became more solemn, and nodded and said, "Master Parrish, what's your order?" Master Parrish said, "Let her stay in the kitchen." Shane stepped back and asked Anna to step forward. There was no emotion on Mrs. Mary's face, she just nodded and said, "Okay, I see." She turned her head and said to the 4 people except Lily, "You only need 1 person in the kitchen, and you can all go back." This time it was Lily's turn, who had been eliminated a long time ago, with a gloating look on her face. The 4 girls wanted to intercede again, but they heard how the elders of the family had mentioned how to maintain etiquette in the noble house, and also heard the order of Master Parrish, so they had no choice but to salute and leave. Every girl who left stared at Anna angrily. In addition to being injustice, Lily, who was at the end, also had resentment. Anna saw her walking by and said silently, "I said it. I said I would take your job away, and I did." Lily's complexion changed drastically. If it weren't for the last trace of reason to tell her that this is the Earl's mansion, not a place where she can go wild, she might rush to fight Anna. When the girls left one by one, Shane left first. Mrs. Mary looked at Anna calmly and asked, "What's your name?" Anna lowered her eyes and said softly, "My name is Anna, Mrs. Mary." Madame Mary was satisfied when she saw Anna's decent appearance, although she didn't show it on her face. Although Master Parrish's order cannot be disobeyed, she would be more comfortable to manage if the one who came was a well-behaved and obedient. "I am the deputy housekeeper of Earl's Court, and the kitchen is under my jurisdiction. You are a newcomer, and you should learn from the veterans at the beginning. The rules of the Earl's Court kitchen are completely different from yours at home. You need to study hard and don't neglect." "Yes, I remember it all," Anna answered honestly. Mrs. Mary was relieved that she did not have any special attitude towards her, she just came to work, and she didn't want others to treat her differently because of Master Parrish. Just on the surface they usually treat her. Enough. Mrs. Mary arranged for Anna a master, a maid named Rebecca. In Earl's Court, all ordinary female employees are called maids, and different types of jobs have different wages. A maid like Anna who works in the kitchen can get 10 silver coins every month. which is almost twice the income of her father as a bartender in a tavern. Considering that the current income of her family can cover the usual expenses, and all the wages she gets can be saved, Anna is very happy. When she had enough money, the first thing she wanted to do was to move out of the slum that was too close to the slum in Lime Lane. Most of the maids who work in the kitchen do not live in the Earl's house, and come early and leave late every day. Because of the existence of the Goddess of Light sect, the world also has a creation myth. It is a round of 7 days, and Sunday is Sunday. However, the maid of Earl's Court does not have a holiday to go to church on Sunday, and can only simply pray a prayer, so working hours it's almost 7:77. On the first day, Anna just followed Rebecca to learn how to go to the kitchen after she came in through the back door of Earl's Court, and was taken by Rebecca to exchange names with the 4 guards who would take turns guarding the back door, so that she would be able to get in and out in the future. It was the next day when she officially started to work. Anna went home first after getting familiar with it. She wanted to tell her family the good news as soon as possible. When Anna returned to Pomegranate Lane, a strong young man suddenly ran up to her and shouted, "Anna, go home, someone is making trouble in your house." Anna's complexion changed, and there was no time to ask more. After hurriedly thanking her, she hurried back home. At this point in time, Evan and Jem just went to the tavern, and only her mother, Adele, and little Evan were in the house. The tall young man walked tightly behind Anna and followed together. Before Anna approached her house, she saw Lily and her mother Renee blocking her door, cursing loudly. "Your Anna is really a shameless slut. Use her beauty to confuse Master Parrish and take away my daughter's job. How on earth did you teach such a shameless daughter? Goddess is on top, you should go to the devil world." Lily complained with tears from the side, "That is obviously my job. Anna shamelessly took my job away." The mother and daughter cursed loudly at the door of Anna's house. Guy stood at the door and turned pale with anger, but she didn't know how to curse, but she couldn't deny it. "Anna is not the kind of person you are talking about." Anna saw this scene, her eyes flushed with anger. This mother and daughter are really picky and soft, and they bully her gentle mother. Looking around, Anna found that there was a shovel from someone else's on the side of the road. She lifted it up and dropped her head. Holding the shovel by herself, she waved the wooden handle and hit the mother and daughter. Lily and Renee were scolding, they didn't watch out for a sneak attack from the rear, they were beaten upright, exclaiming and avoiding. Anna stood at the door of her house with a shovel, staring at Lily and Renee, and said loudly, "Lily, how can you blame me for yelling in front of Mrs. Mary and being eliminated by her? Shameless it's you! You are also believers of the goddess, how dare you lie under the watchful eyes of the goddess? The goddess won't forgive you." A true believer would not mention the goddess casually like Anna, but in order to muffle Lily's mouth, she must borrow the name of the goddess. Of course, she didn't believe a word of what she said. If the goddess really stares at this land, why has the demon staring at her not been wiped out? Lily had indeed lied to her mother about her being eliminated. She did not say that she had been eliminated tragically before she learned that Anna was arranged by Master Parrish. Instead, she blamed her for everything. Therefore, when she heard Anna mentioning the goddess, Lily panicked for a moment, and then she immediately said, I didn't lie. It is true that you seduce Master Parrish, and he will let you work in the kitchen." Just a little guilty in the end, Lily did not look directly into Anna's eyes. Renee was more calm than Lily. She didn't even pay attention to what Anna said about the goddess. She just stared at Anna and shouted angrily, "Do you know how many good things I said to get Lily's aunt to recommend Lily? That should be Lily's job, it was taken away by you, you bitch." Gay was blocked by Anna. She looked at Anna with some worry, and then at Renee. The anger in her chest made her clench her teeth. It's just that she just wanted to step forward, but was stopped by Anna. Anna has been in this world for several days. She is very clear about Guy's character. Guy is not good at this kind of antagonism, so she still has to come. "Mom, Trust me," Anna said, looking at Guy. Guy looked at Anna's sky blue eyes that he inherited from him, felt the different power in her eyes, nodded in a daze, and then backed away. Anna was still carrying a shovel, and having weapons to defend herself made her courageous. She looked at Renee and said coldly, "It's obviously that your daughter is useless by herself. She was eliminated by Mrs. Mary, and is she blamed on others? If I seduce with Master Parrish, I have been his lover a long time ago, do I still need to work in the kitchen?" The public sentiments of this world are different from the ancient Eastern times that Anna is familiar with, and they are more open in terms of sex. To be someone else's lover is indeed disgusting, but if a commoner becomes the lover of a nobleman, the other commoners will only envy, or even envy, why the person who encounters such a good thing is not his own daughter. Therefore, Anna's reason is beyond rebuttal. If Lily dared to say that she went to work in the Earl's mansion and never thought of hooking up with the noble lords in the Earl's mansion and becoming their lover, the onlookers would only laugh, and no one would believe her. Usually Lily would keep clamoring that she would let her an aristocratic master bow down under her skirt. Because most people have similar thoughts, when Anna pointed it out sharply, they all believed Anna's words. They never thought that Anna had a chance to fly to the sky and refused, only thinking that Anna really did not have that opportunity. If Anna really succeeded in seduce Master Parrish, how stupid would she just want to be an ordinary kitchen maid instead of becoming Master Parrish's lover? Even Renee, who has always been sharp-toothed, was speechless when asked by Anna, but she did not intend to give up easily, and shouted, "How do I know what you think? Who knows if you have greater ambitions? I want to be the wife of Master Parrish." As soon as Renee said this, everyone around them laughed. They were not laughing at Anna's wishful thinking, but at Renee's whisper. Which fool would think of becoming the wife of an earl's heir as a commoner? It would be possible if a wealthy commoner and the low-stranked baron were married, a commoner like Anna and an heir to an earl? Is Anna crazy? There was no need for Anna to say anything, the people around laughed and mocked Renee. "Rennie, your own daughter is useless, so don't blame others. We don't know what Lily is like, don't you know?" "Yes, ha ha ha, and wife. Have you ever thought about that for Lily? If I were the countess, I would also choose Anna instead of Lily. Anna is much better than Lily." "Yet, Renee, it's really not surprising that Lily lost to Anna." "Everyone, when you say something to me," Renee and Lily turned red. Renee scolded everyone at first, but when she got her strength, everyone would certainly not admit defeat. The advantage of the number of people and the power came out. Soon Renee was defeated and left with Lily griefly. This is exactly what Anna wants to achieve. Because the folk customs of this world are more open than the ancient times in the East, the lace news of men and women will not form effective public opinion pressure, and because of the unique semi-public lover culture, Anna can calmly use the lover as a breakthrough point to counterattack. Although she did land in the kitchen because of Master Parrish's words, who would believe it? Who believed she would refuse to be Master Parrish's lover because of her work in the kitchen? If she is from this world, she would not believe it either. She deliberately said those words, inciting the onlookers, and successfully made them scold Lily and Renee away. Renee and Lily left, and the onlookers dispersed without any reason to stay. Anna put the shovel back to its original place, because the shovel weighed a little, her arms were a little sore now. Then the young man who came to inform Anna hadn't left, he came over when everyone around him had left, blew a whistle and said, "Anna, you were so amazing just now." As he said, his hand took a bunch of small purple flowers from the belt behind his back and handed them to Anna. "This one is for you, it matches you very well." Anna was stunned, but saw that the young man squeezed the flower into her hand and ran away grinningly. After running away, she turned back and waved at her. Only then did Anna remember that the young man's name was Mark, the son of a blacksmith. The shovel she was holding just now seemed to belong to his family. She clenched the bouquet in her hand. Although she could tell that it was picked in the wild at a glance, the petals were quite squeezed. But after all, this was the first flower she had received in this world, and she was a little happy. Anna walked back with the flower. Guy was still standing at the door, his eyes flicking over the flower in Anna's hand, without saying much. Anna looked at Guy, coughed lightly, and smiled sweetly. "Mom, I have good news for you, I have been hired by the Earl's mansion." Guy was taken aback and couldn't help laughing. "Mother, you didn't hear what happened just now. You only heard the good news from my mouth." Anna smiled. "There are 10 silver coins a month. From now on we will eat potato stew and lamb every day. White bread. I want to eat, too." Adele, who had been scared to hide in the house before, brought little Evan out, his eyes gleaming. Little Evan even drooled down. He was only 3 years old, but he already knew that meat was a good thing. "Well, when I get my salary, everyone will have something to eat," Anna said proudly. Adele and little Evan both cheered. Guy didn't say anything disappointing, but just smiled softly. Today's Anna is different from before, but today is a good day, even she wants to cheer. Until this moment, Anna really felt that she was really possible to change her situation. Although there were demons in the Earl's mansion that made her jealous, things were going for the better after all, and she believed it would get better and better in the future. Early the next morning, Anna walked briskly to the Earl's mansion. The knee injury is no longer a serious problem. It took less than half an hour to walk. Working hours start at 7 a.m., and she needs to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. Fortunately, she didn't have the habit of sleeping late, and the pomegranate alley became lively before 6 o'clock, which was not difficult for her. Now that the spring is just beginning, the sky is bright early, Anna is walking on the road, and you can see the busy civilians coming and going. Common people need to run around for a living and must get up early, but the nobles have a comfortable life, and there are often banquets in the evening until the early hours of the morning, and they wake up after 9 in the morning, so the kitchen maid will only work at 7 in the morning. As for the evenings with banquets, many preparations will be done in advance, and the maids who come home every day like Anna can get off work at 7 o'clock, and the rest of the maids who live in Earl's Court can do well. His salary is also higher than Anna's. After greeting the guard at the back door of the Earl's mansion, Anna entered the Earl's mansion. She walked safely to the kitchen along the road Rebecca took her with yesterday. The kitchen in Earl's Court is very large, and there are more than a dozen people working here. The kitchen was divided into several rooms. In the corner of the largest preparation room, there was a clock. When Anna arrived, the clock just showed 6:55. When Anna arrived, she went to find Rebecca. Rebecca was busy finishing the banquet last night. Seeing Anna was coming, she asked her to help. Rebecca is only 3 years older than Anna, but has been working here for 5 years. She is an old man trusted by Mrs. Mary. Her words and deeds also seemed to be moving closer to Mrs. Mary, but at the age of 20, she always had a straight face and an impersonal appearance. "Anna, you wash these napkins first, and I will teach you how to fold them later," Rebecca said to Anna with a solemn face. Anna nodded. "Okay, Rebecca." Rebecca first showed Anna how to wash the napkins and how to remove stubborn stains. Anna listened very carefully. Because it was the first time to wash napkins, it took Anna half an hour to clean all 10 napkins and dry them out. Rebecca checked it first and nodded without saying anything, but Anna knew that this showed that Rebecca was satisfied with her results. As for the next folding of the napkin, it was a piece of cake for Anna. She has dexterous fingers, good memory, and very good spatial imagination. After Rebecca demonstrated it, she learned the method. Rebecca had just planned to polish the clean silver tableware before completing one. Anna, who had expected it to take at least 1 or 2 hours to stack up to a qualified level, came over with her work. It was a folded napkin with a petal-like appearance. Although it was the simplest requirement of the Earl's Court maid, it was also relatively complicated. Rebecca did not expect Anna to fold it so quickly, and she looked very good. "You folded it yourself?" Rebecca asked. Anna nodded. Yes, after memorizing the trick, it's very simple. Rebecca is polishing the silver tableware. This is a very important job. Only a kitchen elder like her can touch it. So she thought about it and called another person over to teach Anna other tricks. Seeing Anna's concentration while studying, Rebecca also had a little more recognition in her eyes. When Rebecca finished her work, she walked to Anna to check her progress. At this time, the maid who taught Anna had already left, and only Anna was folding flowers there. At this moment, her hands were tricks that Rebecca had never seen before. Rebecca coughed. Anna looked up and smiled. Rebecca, I have finished learning. Even though I knew that Anna was learning fast, Rebecca still couldn't believe it after hearing about her progress at this moment. It's not that she has never brought newcomers before, and it usually takes about 3 days for them to learn courses like folding napkins. But now it's only 2 hours at most. Next, I will evaluate you. If you pass, you can continue to the next study. Rebecca remained stern and did not show much emotion. Anna put away her smile and nodded seriously, I'm ready. Rebecca's assessment is very simple, just name a napkin pattern and let Anna fold it out. In Anna's opinion, this has the same meaning as English words in middle school. There are a total of 20 kinds of folding napkins, and Rebecca drew 3 basic ones, 3 difficult ones, and Anna didn't feel embarrassed. Rebecca's stern face couldn't help showing a very faint smile. Good job. Thank you, the teacher taught me well. Anna said modestly. Rebecca nodded, did not say much, and then taught Anna about the placement of tableware. There are also many doorways here. The nobles have a lot of ways to eat. There are 3 or 4 sets of knives and forks. Different dishes require different tableware. Anna must remember. Compared with the various report data that Anna needed to remember in the past, they are all in pediatrics. She still learns very quickly and successfully passed Rebecca's assessment. According to Rebecca's idea, after she taught Anna, she could do her own thing, and let Anna practice the rest. But because Anna learns fast, Rebecca patronized her to teach her for half of the first day. Fortunately, Rebecca has also taught many newcomers, so there is nothing to teach in advance. When Rebecca was going to teach Anna more table manners, someone hurried over and shouted at the kitchen door, "Where is the new maid?" Anna was stunned. Is this looking for her? The visitor was a teenager. Seeing no one answered, he glanced around and asked again, "Which is the new maid?" Anna raised her hand, "It's me." She recognized that this young man had been with Master Parrish. He was sitting outside the carriage and should be Master Parrish's personal servant. How to say? The tree wanted to be quiet but the wind continued, and the demon was not so kind to let her be alone. Fortunately, Anna was already mentally prepared. After accepting the demon's help, having to continue dealing with him was the price she had to pay. The boy looked at Anna, as if confirming her appearance, and then said, "Master Parrish is going to have a meal." Anna struggled a little bit, "I'm still learning the rules, I'm afraid that it will affect the young master's mood if I don't do it well." The boy sullenly said, "Master asked you to go by name." "What's the name?" "I'm afraid that the demon still doesn't know her name, so the manservant next to him also refers to her as the new maid." Anna had been mentally prepared for a long time, seeing that the struggle was useless, so she had to respond. It was already 12 o'clock, and the rules of Earl's Court were almost 9 o'clock breakfast, 1:30 p.m. lunch, 4 o'clock afternoon tea in the afternoon, and 8 o'clock dinner in the evening. Therefore, a lot of lunch is almost ready, and Master Parrish wakes up late, and the kitchen has always prepared his breakfast. Because he did not specifically order, Rebecca asked Anna to bring breakfast. Waiting for Anna to leave, the maids who hadn't been paying attention to her originally, and the maids who hadn't lived in their hands all got together in 2s and 3s, and the topic of discussion was naturally about Anna. Only Mrs. Mary knew about Anna's situation when she was hired yesterday, but the people who were eliminated yesterday will naturally complain to the elders in the family when they return. Therefore, there are many rumors about Anna. Anna, who had just come to study for a long time, didn't feel the pressure brought by the rumors. She carried the food box and followed behind the teenager who called herself Watto, thinking about how to deal with the demon for a while. In fact, it is not too difficult, as long as you firmly refuse it. The place where Anna saw Master Parrish again was in the sunroom of his residence. The glass in this world is no different from what Anna had in mind. The transparent glass with a few bubbles is combined in pieces to tightly wrap the entire outwardly extending balcony. The sun shines through the glass and can even be seen from different angles. Colored rainbow. Master Parrish, wearing a white shirt, was bathed in such unheated sunlight, his whole body seemed to be covered with a layer of radiance, and his handsome eyebrows were as moving as angels. Of course, this was a sight seen by others, but Anna immediately lowered her head after seeing the evil spirit hidden under the handsome skin, for fear that she would accidentally meet the devil's eyes. She cautiously stepped forward, opened the warm food box, and took out the breakfast in exquisite porcelain. There were Arnando sausages, warm missa plateau goat milk, white bread baked with refined flour, and meat sauce as a dipping sauce. Wait! Anna placed the food on the table where the devil was sitting, and stepped aside. During this period, she felt that the demon was looking at her, and she had been staring at the desktop, completely afraid to look at it. According to the etiquette that Rebecca said casually when she taught her, she had to wait aside and wait until the demon had finished eating before packing up and leaving, unless the other party instructed otherwise. Hrothgar did not withdraw his sight. Last night, Earl Wilson hosted a banquet, but he didn't go there because of his illness. He was very disgusted with dealing with those hypocritical human beings, and he was not interested in doing anything else, so he just fell asleep. It was a bit unexpected for him to wake up today. In the past, he might sleep for several years as soon as he slept. He thought about the bet with Balin if he wanted to come. The abyssal tree seed is something he must get. Since Balin is so generous to make a bet, how can he let the opponent down? Speaking of betting, Hrothgar looked at Anna and curled his lips slightly, but that didn't mean he was happy. On the contrary, he is very, very upset now. Why can't she obediently accept his marriage proposal, and then suffer all the torture in the years to come before taking her last breath? Why does she want to play so much? Hrothgar recalled Parrish's memory, propped on one elbow on the table, with a charming smile on his face, and his eyes lightly fell on Anna. My dear girl, how are you in the kitchen? If anyone bullies you, you must tell me and I will protect you. Listening to this affectionate confession, what Anna thought in her heart was that the demon really didn't know her name. Of course, she didn't feel the need to remind him that it was absurd to say deep love without knowing her name. She respectfully said, "Thank you very much, Master Parrish, for your concern. I am very good in the kitchen and everyone takes care of me." Hrothgar smiled and pointed to the place beside him. "I have the honor to invite you, who is beautiful, to have a meal." Parrish has a lot of suitable words to choose from in his memory. This is something Hrothgar is quite satisfied with. If the first human woman he meets is not the one with the deep scheming in front of him, he may be about to win the bet. Whether it is to kill this human woman directly or whether she finds someone else, it may be a better choice, but these two options, no matter which one they choose, are a humiliation to Hrothgar. It should have been extremely easy for a hypocritical human woman to agree to his marriage proposal, but when he encountered such an anomaly, he regarded it as a provocation. The gambling appointment has just begun, and he has plenty of time to repay her provocation. Anna lowered her head and replied, "Master, I am just a maid, and I dare not humiliate the reputation of Master. Please don't do this, Master." If this demon actually appeared in front of her, she might still dare not resist. What he said is what he said, but since he is possessed by others, it seems to be restricted by some rules. Of course she must make good use of it, and honestly. Revolt. Hrothgar looked at Anna's harmless white rabbit appearance and couldn't help but sneer. Humans, really disgusting, no matter how dirty they are, they can pretend to be as pure as a unicorn. Hrothgar tapped his finger on the tabletop, his eyes flashed with evil light. If you don't want to humiliate my reputation, then you shouldn't accept my help for you yesterday. Anna was taken aback, and even Vadar was a little surprised. Both of them could hear the maliciousness hidden in his words, but Vadar thought that he had heard it wrong, and Anna was worried that the demon was planning to lift the poker table. Stop playing? I'm sorry, but I was too selfish, because I wanted to work in the kitchen too much, and neglected this. Anna said sincerely while thinking. Can't let this demon turn the table and stop playing, she doesn't know what he will do, and she doesn't have the guts to try. So, does she have to coax him now? Anna plucked up the courage to look at the demon, and she realized that the other person was staring at her. She controlled herself without looking away, and holding her breath without breathing. Gradually, she felt a little reddened, and then she hurriedly lowered her head and said, I will clarify with everyone so that they don't misunderstand. She has to let the devil misunderstand, she has such a feeling for him, he still has a chance, don't throw the table. Hrothgar took all of Anna's performance in his eyes, and what he came to was exactly part of the conclusion that Anna wanted him to draw. There is no doubt that this human woman has long been fascinated by this pair of skins and Parish's status, but she is too ambitious, wants more, and is smart enough, but it is useless for people. Her methods may be useful to human men, but who told her to be unlucky? It was him who met him? Hrothgar put away his own expression, put on Parish's fascinating smile, and said affectionately, of course not, my dear. I said that just now, just to make you understand that you are not to me. It's not without emotion. You may not have noticed it yourself, but I can feel it. Anna lowered her head and said, perhaps you are right, master. But I'm just a maid and don't want to think too much. Anna, who looked respectful on the surface, couldn't help but complain in her heart. The face changed so fast, even if he couldn't see the demon hidden in his body, the crazy would like him. Hrothgar took away his sight with satisfaction this time. At least a little progress has been made, he is not in a hurry. When she feels foolproof, she will naturally respond to his marriage proposal, and at that time, he will give her a surprise. Hrothgar ran out of breakfast slowly. He didn't need to eat, but Parish's body needed it. He had to use this body, and that was unavoidable. When the breakfast was over, Anna packed up things quietly, and left after saluting. Water followed her to the door. The small building where Hrothgar lived was near the garden. He poured himself a glass of wine from the Pala plateau. After a while, he saw Anna below leaving alone with a food container. She was stopped by 3 maids shortly after she walked out. Hrothgar raised his brows slightly, and recognized one of them as the maid he was experimenting with that day, which seemed to be called Abigail or something. Parish's own hearing is very good. Hrothgar can hear the conversation of several people as long as he opens the glass window slightly. After listening for a while, he sneered and turned downstairs. After Anna walked out of the small building where Parish lived, she breathed a sigh of relief, and faced the legendary demon, who was still unkind. She was under a lot of pressure. Not long after she walked out, 3 maids blocking the way appeared in front of her. You're the new Anna, aren't you? The blonde Abigail raised his chin with his hips akimbo. No matter whether it was the career line or the waistline, people couldn't look away. Anna glanced at the 3 maids, they all have their own characteristics, but without exception, they are beautiful and arrogant. Most importantly, they are full of hostility towards her. Anna smiled friendly, it's me. Abigail looked at Anna up and down, and then he looked contemptuously, it doesn't look very good. Another maid with pale blonde hair covered her mouth and smiled idiotically, yes, even if compared to me, it's a far cry. Finally the brown-haired maid glanced at Anna, raised her chin in disdain, and asked her condescendingly, I'm asking you, is the legend true? Anna didn't want to conflict with these maids. Before, she had no scruples about Lily because Lily had lost the election and was not in the Earl's mansion. But these maids came earlier than her, and it would be unwise for her to fall out with them. I don't know what the legend is, but I know that in all legends, there are always fabricated parts, and even all of them are made up. Anna said sincerely. Anna's words obviously failed to convince the three. The blonde Abigail glanced at the food box Anna was holding, and said angrily, "You just came out from Master Parish? It stands to reason that Master Parish doesn't need a new maid like you at all. Why did you go? Yet, did you use any method to seduce Master Parish?" Kelly with light blonde hair frowned and stared at Anna, but there was still a trace of desire hidden in her question. The brown-haired Fiona was much simpler. She sneered and stepped forward, raising her hand to teach Anna a lesson. However, Anna was prepared, and immediately took 2 steps back when she saw this. Fiona did not expect that Anna dared to hide, and even escaped, which made her feel very embarrassed. Her face flashed with shame. She looked back at her companions, and smiled fiercely. "Abigail, Kelly, you said, how do we teach her the rules here?" Anna sighed in her heart. She felt that her previous thoughts were too naive. Even if she wanted to have a good relationship with them, they would not like her. Think about it carefully, they are not in the kitchen, and the relationship is bad, and it is impossible to see every day anyway. Anna is not a character that can suffer. Before Lily dared to push her to frame her, she dared to Lily's dream job. Seeing that these 3 people seemed to join hands to beat her at this moment, she was unlikely to be able to fight one enemy 3, so she immediately had an idea. "I advise you not to be so impulsive." Anna didn't step back, looking at the 3 people without fear, and smiled. "No matter what you hear, I can tell you, it's really exaggerated compared to what you heard." "Some." Abigail pulled Raffiona and stared at Anna. "What do you mean?" Anna smiled. "I didn't seduce Master Parish, but he insisted on marrying me, but I never agreed." She fluffed her long hair and blinked at them. "Master Parish is obsessed with me. If he knows that you are bullying me like this, guess what, will he drive you out?" "You nonsense! How could Master Parish look at you?" Kelly couldn't bear the truth that Anna said, and exclaimed angrily. Anna smiled and said, "You ask your own heart, if Master Parish is not in love with me, how come I want to go to the kitchen and let me go to the kitchen? Go with." Hearing Anna's words based on facts, the trio's complexion changed. For a while, they couldn't believe what Anna said, but they didn't dare to believe it. They came to her trouble, isn't it because they are half believing in the rumors? And it is more biased towards unbelief. But the facts analyzed by Anna made them have to believe. Is Master Parish really fascinated by this girl who hasn't grown up yet? The 3 looked at each other and saw the retreat in the eyes of others. They never want to lose their jobs in this Earl's mansion, and none of them dare to take risks. "I think of it, there is still some work that hasn't been done." Fiona opened her mouth first, her eyes avoiding daring to look at Anna. Abigail and Kelly also quickly continued, Yet, I still have a job." Seeing that the 3 of them were frightened by herself, Anna breathed a sigh of relief. Finally, she didn't have to fight with others on the first day in the Earl's mansion. To be honest, she hadn't fought with anyone yet. I was afraid that she would lose. But Anna's breath was just half relaxed, and from the corner of her eyes she caught a glimpse of someone walking by not far away, and she couldn't help but jump in her heart. That demon! These 3 maids are too stupid. They don't know if they want to make trouble for her, and they don't know to hide away. They dare to mess around so close to the residence of Master Parish. The 3 maids also saw Master Parish, who was walking by when they turned around. They were shocked when Anna had just given the truth their heads, thinking of the terrible consequences that they might be kicked out. I don't know who raised the head first, and the 3 of them knelt down one after another, trying to say something tremblingly. Hrothgar ignored them and strode past the 3 to reach Anna. At this moment, at least half of the smile on his face came from himself. He didn't miss a word of what the human woman named Anna said just now. Sure enough, as he thought, she was very despicable. In front of him, she was as pure as a lamb, but in front of other women who might threaten her ambition, her teeth and claws exposed all her dirty thoughts. There was disgust and contempt in his eyes, but the smile on Rotgar's face was taken from Parrish's affection and sincerity. "My beautiful girl, are they bullying you? Are you hurt?" He paused, and suddenly realized that this was an excellent opportunity. When she was bullied, he showed up and proposed to her again as she said before, to satisfy her vanity. "They don't know that I cherish you and make you wronged. This is something I can't tolerate. Anna, please marry me, so no one dares to disrespect you anymore." It's one thing that Anna's truth is very credible. It's another thing to hear Master Parrish's marriage proposal. The three of Abigail were still kneeling on the ground, but they seemed to be rehearsing. He turned his head neatly and watched this scene with horror on his face. The marriage proposal turned out to be true. Anna lowered her head immediately after Master Parrish approached. No matter how many times she looked at it, she still felt that the demon hidden in others' bodies was scary. It's not that the demon is ugly. She had looked carefully when she was forced to stare at him just now. Except for the goat horns and the gloomy and evil temperament, his face was not weird. Let's say it was quite handsome. What if it looks good? That can't change the fact that he is a demon and kills her. "I'm sorry, Master Parrish, I am not worthy of you, I cannot agree to your marriage proposal." Anna said a little proficiently. She also added drama to herself, a little more melancholy and so on. She feels that her acting skills are much better than this demon. Does he think she can't see the indifference and murderous intent in his bones when he proposes to her? She can guarantee that once she agrees, he will immediately harvest her soul. If they heard the proposal of Master Parrish, Abigail and the three would just be in disbelief. After hearing Anna's answer, they almost fainted. Why can Anna say can't agree to the young master's proposal? If they were replaced by them, they might faint with joy. After Hrothgar heard Anna's answer, half of his emotions were angry, and the other half took it for granted. After all, her ambition is too great, and she has rejected him so many times. So Hrothgar just showed a disappointed expression and said, "Anna, you are still so cruel, forget it, I believe you will figure it out one day." He sighed and left. Yes, Hrothgar didn't warn the three maids, but left as if he had forgotten them. How could he warn the three maids? They continue to put pressure on the human woman, and she will end her plot as soon as possible, agree to his marriage proposal, and then, hey! Anna watched Hrothgar's back disappear, and then looked at the three maids kneeling on the ground who seemed to be a little bit ungrateful, and suddenly remembered that this demon seemed to finally know her name. She shook her head. The demon walked so fast, it was a bit unexpected for her. She thought that he would have to show some affection again, so that she could be moved, such as driving the three maids out of the Earl's house or something. But he didn't do this, and he didn't even warn them, because he thought his affectionate performance just now was enough. But they were bullying her just now, with the affection he showed. Shouldn't it be a smashing confession? It can be seen that his intentions are sinister. Devil, it is obviously a good hand to instigate people's hearts. He deliberately wants to let others isolate her. Only he can warm her, and he will naturally agree to his marriage proposal. Fortunately, she saw through everything. Who would not provoke such things? Anna walked slowly to the three maids and whispered, "Master Parrish has gone, don't you stand up yet." The three of them looked at her with complicated eyes, and Fiona asked her suspiciously, "Why didn't you agree to Master Parrish's marriage proposal? Isn't this everyone's dream?" "Oh, it's a long story." Anna put on a melancholy expression of "I have a story, come and ask," and stretched out her hand to pull the three of them up one by one. "Let's go, stop arguing about Pa Master Rishes now." The three of them had some lingering fears because of what happened just now, and they didn't say much, and walked away silently with Anna. The four of them were almost walking to the kitchen all the way, and Anna stopped, turned, and looked at the three of them and said, "Actually, I have a lover." The three of them had different expressions, and Abigail immediately retorted, "How can your lover compare to Master Parrish?" Anna thought to herself, "Is anyone better than the devil who killed you? Of course he is not as good as Master Parrish, but I love him, he is the best in my heart, and I can't agree to someone's proposal." Anna sighed. The three people who were at war with Anna just now were so scared by Master Parrish, and now that they heard about Anna having a lover, the hostility towards her seemed to disappear in an instant. It turned out that Anna didn't want to Master Parrish from them. Kelly was a little curious, and asked tentatively, "But Master Parrish seems to love you very much." Anna shook her head, "That's all Master Parrish's illusion." "Do you know how I met Master Parrish?" The three shook their heads, all looking at Anna expectantly, waiting for her answer. Anna said, "That day, I accidentally fell down in front of Master Parrish's carriage. He said that it was a reckless little wild cat, so charming. Then he proposed to me." Hearing such inside information, the three of them stared, thinking in their hearts, if they were the one who fell in front of the young master's carriage that day. Anna paid attention to the expressions of the three of them, couldn't help laughing in her heart, but sighed on her face, "Actually, I came to the Earl's mansion kitchen, really just to make money to support the family. You have all seen it just now, and I rejected Parrish. Master's proposal, my love is still waiting for me." "You did it right." Abigail grabbed Anna's hand and said with excitement, "The love between you and your lover is really touching. You will definitely get married and have many children in the future." Fiona also grabbed Anna's hand and said, "Yes, Anna. You must never agree to Master Parrish's marriage proposal. A marriage without love is not blessed by the goddess." "Yes, we will pray to the goddess for you and your lover." Kaylee also wanted to catch, but Anna had no hands to catch her, so she simply took Anna's arm with a very sincere expression. Anna smiled meaningfully, "Thank you for your blessings. I am really touched. It was a misunderstanding just now. I am very happy to meet a good friend like you. I am Anna. You all know it. I don't know what your name is." The three of them were very happy to see that Anna did not accept Master Parrish's proposal at all, and they all reported their names. Anna waved goodbye to the three plastic friends she had just met, and then went back to the kitchen. Although she might not be able to see it with her own eyes, she felt that what the demon would encounter next would be very interesting. And she, of course, followed Rebecca to learn things and learn more skills. Anyway, she didn't instigate anything, the devil had nothing to do with her no matter what he encountered. Hrothgar was in a good mood after leaving disappointed and leaving. In this way, the human woman was forced to go in the direction he wanted. She thought she had planned, but she didn't know that he had been playing it between her palms. When she learned the truth, the expression on her face must be very interesting. Because he had made up his mind to spend time with Anna, Hrothgar was not in a hurry. Although the nature of Anna, a human woman, did not detach from his consistent view of humans, she did make his view of humans slightly changed. He hasn't been to the human world for so long, and he seems to have to take a closer look and grasp the changes in the human world, so as not to waste his time with unexpected things after the end of this human woman. He doesn't like the feeling that people or things are beyond control. It just happened to be lunchtime soon after, and Parrish's father, Earl Wilson, liked to eat with his family. Hrothgar went to the main hall of Earl's court to dine with Parrish's father. He has part of Parrish's memory, and Earl Wilson naturally did not notice the changes in his son. It was 3 o'clock in the afternoon after lunch. Hrothgar walked in the small garden that he had to pass back with his personal servant Voldau by his side. The tall and blonde Abigail is carefully caring for the flowers in the garden. The Countess likes flowers. After she died of illness, Earl Wilson still maintained the variety and quantity of the flowers in the garden, and came to cherish the memory of his dead wife from time to time. There is no such fragile flowers in the demon world as the human world. Hrothgar hates these fragile creations just as he hates humans, and he is even too lazy to take a look when he walks through the garden. Just as Hrothgar walked by Abigail, she seemed to suddenly lose her footing, let out a short and thought-provoking faint scream, and then fell in front of Rotgar in a graceful posture. It was no more than a foot from his toes. Hrothgar stopped and frowned and looked at the maid lying on the ground coldly. But seeing Abigail raised her head tenderly, the blonde hair drew a beautiful arc in the air. She looked up at Hrothgar, her expression was full of panic. "I'm sorry, Master Parish, I'm rash. I didn't know what was going on just now, I couldn't stand firm, please don't blame Master Parish." Hrothgar glanced at her diagonally, without saying a word, and walked around her. How could he be fooled by such a bad performance? Seeing that human woman succeeded, these stupid maids followed her? If it were before he met Anna, he would follow the boat and complete the bet with Balin as soon as possible, but now, he just wants to take the human woman first. After crossing Abigail, Hrothgar had forgotten this little episode. However, he hadn't even walked out of the small garden, and suddenly a figure rushed out from the side, like a phoenix attacking him with death. Bumped over. Although Parish did not become a mage, his body was good, and Hrothgar had a slight overall improvement in his physical fitness after being attached to him. Such an attack Hrothgar hadn't paid attention to him yet. One side of the body let go. The figure slammed into the rose bush, in exchange for a scream that was not adulterated. Hrothgar frowned and looked over. The figure showed half of his face. He recognized that she was one of the maids who had bullied Anna before. Fiona was cruel to herself in order to behave like a caughty little wild cat. After seeing the failure of her friend Abigail, not only did she not give up, she became even more excited. Abigail failed, wouldn't she have a chance? Her hair is brown, more like Anna's reddish brown, maybe Master Parish just likes her hair color. So, Fiona didn't save effort just now. She closed her eyes and rushed out of the flowers, and slammed into Master Parish. Who knew she didn't touch the master? She also tried too hard and fell into the rose bush. The rose stem was full of thorns. After Fiona screamed, she didn't dare to move. She saw Master Parish out of her eyes, desperately looking at him with flushed eyes, hoping that he could pity her for her pretty carelessness. The lost little wild cat. Then, Master Parish disappeared from her sight. "Fiona, why are you doing this? Ha ha ha, does it hurt?" Abigail walked over after Hrothgar left, and saw Fiona's miserable appearance, and couldn't help but cover his mouth and laugh. She controlled her strength, and it didn't hurt to fall on the ground in the small garden. She was originally disappointed by Master Parish's indifference, but seeing Fiona's miserable image, she just put your disappointment behind and laugh. "Come and try if it hurts." "Pull me out!" Fiona exclaimed painfully. Abigail covered her mouth and laughed for a while before she started to pull Fiona out, during which time Fiona kept whispering in pain to make her lighter, making Abigail laugh so hard that she could barely breathe. Seeing someone more unlucky than myself, my own grievances are nothing. On the other side, Hrothgar had already walked out of the small garden. He didn't care what happened behind him. When the third maid he met in a short time passed by him suddenly collapsed, he was able to dodge sideways skillfully. Of course, the third maid with long pale blonde hair fell to the hard ground with an ouch. If one or two people are just a coincidence, then three people at the same time would be too weird. But Hrothgar recognized that these three maids had been seen by him before bullying the human woman. Maybe they saw his affectionateness for that human woman. The three people would follow her in this way. He couldn't help but sneer. His view of most humans was indeed correct, despicable and boring. Hrothgar still ignored the third maid who threw him in front of him, and walked around her. Wad, who has been behind Hrothgar, has been bypassing the same way. He saw that his young master did not say anything. His basic purpose is to be an invisible man's personal servant when the young master did not order. What an extra thing! Because there was a banquet in the evening, Hrothgar did not create an opportunity for Anna to actively approach him. Hrothgar hadn't paid attention to the three maids, but it just proved his judgment of human beings. But from the moment he left the house the next day, such similar things suddenly became common, as if seeing slimes in the devil world. Seeing the fourth maid who fell in front of him today, Rotgar was on the verge of an explosion. Humans are despicable, dirty, and stupid.